removal spells like Terminate, they may be too slow against some of Tom's draws.
Die roll does seem pretty important here, but the die roll in Modern does seem pretty important. These decks are fast.
It's important in Constructed Magic, period.
So we get ready here with the boss. He's playing a Breeding Pool. He's playing Noble Hierarch. Round number 12 is underway. See if Majors can keep up with the boss. He'll start with a Dark Slick Shores, Inquisition of Kozilek, get an idea of what Tom is working with. You'll find a Blighted Agent of Verdant Catacombs that become immense. It looks like another Noble Hierarch and a Cataxian Probe.
Really nice hand here for the Inquisition. I imagine this is going to be a very quick selection of Blighted Agent.
Majors Grixis control deck. You're going to find 4 copies of Jace Vryn's Prodigy here. Excuse me. He wrote about this deck on the select side of Star City Games. He is a Grand Prix champion recently. Did win Grand Prix San Diego with the Blue-Red Sphinx Tutelage deck in Standard.
And this seems like a great matchup for Jace. Tom's not going to get to kill it. And removal spells and discard spells, both very powerful for Michael to flash back.
He said he's liked Jace very much this week and has built his deck around it. For example, 3 copies of Molten Ray in the sideboard. We see a lot of people with Fulminator Mage, but with Snapcaster Mage and Jace flipping into the Telepath Unbound, you'd rather have spells, so that's where Molten Rain plays a role, along with a lot of other cards that Michael's playing this weekend. Sarah Vision's being cast by Tom. He's drawn a card. Now he's going to scry. We'll see where he decides to put these cards. Michael's got a lot of interaction with 4 Lightning Bolts, 3 Terminates, some counter spells and Spell Piercer, a man, those 4 Inquisitions, Liliana the Veil, Kolaghan's Command. You get an idea of what Michael's working with. You got a Serum Visions, a Spell Snare, along with a Snapcaster Mage and a couple of lands. So pretty decent hand.
A good hand, but no removal in this hand. There is 1 blocker, but if Tom can pick up another Infect creature, the coast appears to be clear.
I believe he's found an Infect creature in Glistener Elf. He knows exactly what Michael's working with. Tom just deciding how he wants to sequence things. There's your Glistener Elf. There's a land, Verdant Catacombs. And we're going to head Michael Major's way. Picked up Polluted Delta for the turn. We know he's got a Serum Visions to cast.
I mean, the issue is that, again, he can just die.
Yes.
He may feel like he just needs to have Snapcaster Mage available to block.
And he's going to get a Steam Vents here. It does not take much to die on the next turn here for Majors. Glistener Elf comes in. You get an Exalted Trigger. That's 2. Might have Old Croja. Groundswell. Pretty easy stuff.
Tom's approaching being able to cast Become Immense for 1 mana.
There's a Serum Visions. Michael will draw a card. Look at the top 2. Jace is in there. Don't think he's going to have time to catch Jace this game. We saw the boss kill on turn 3 of round number 10 today. Might be up to that again. Looks like Major's going to split the difference on Serum Visions. 1 on top, 1 on bottom. And now, Lightning Bolt.
Big draw there from Michael.
And Ross is going to lose his creature. He'll sacrifice Verdant Catacombs. Get himself,
I like Michael not messing around, trying to trap him with the bolt. Tom's too good for that. Cast it right away if he's got a pump spell to fizzle it. Better for him to be pumping on your turn rather than coming across for more Infect on your own turn.
There's a Dryad Arbor. Manual.
Hard way to do it.
No one said it would be easy.
And that bolt's so good for Michael, not only killing the 1 Infect creature, but Tom knows that there's a Snapcaster Mage. So even if Tom is able to find another Infect creature, Michael has a curve here of Snapcaster Mage into the bolt.
Serum Visions. Tom's going to figure out how he wants to scry. Looks like he's going to split the difference as well. 1 on top, 1 on bottom. Noble Hierarch. Attack for 3.
Tough way to do it.
Manual.
Hey, Michael's going to be all willy-nilly about his life total, fetch and Steam Vents and all that.
That's right.
Got to make him pay.
You don't just get to do whatever you want around here.
Listen, Become Immense kills people out of nowhere with regular damage.
Here's a swamp. It's Jace, perhaps? Yes. I'll breeze right by that. Oh, look at Michael. Somebody's a little loaded after their Grand Prix win, huh?
I imagine he's borrowing this deck. I don't think he bought a deck full of foils.
Somebody has decided to go a little spendy.
Someone went to Comic-Con.
Yeah, guy wins 1 Grand Prix.
Yeah, all of a sudden, just making it rain.
Can't even see that, Jace. I don't know if I want a Grand Prix at this Sphinx Tutelage deck, I would just spend it all.
Yep. The term you're looking for is conspicuous consumption. It's when people spend money on things just to demonstrate to other people they have money to spend.
I like it.
Yeah.
Driver came in for 3 more. Majors is down to 11. He's got a Jace over there, though. He's a big, big fan of that card. If you read his articles or his content in the Star City Games newsletter, he's been talking about Jace ever since it got printed as the best card in Magic Origins. Hard to argue. There are a lot of goodies, though.
Patrick Chapin has been pretty consistent in arguing that Abbot of Carroll keep.
There goes Blue to Delta. Jace is now flipped into the Telepath Unbound.
Comic-Con promos really easy to read.
Super good for coverage.
Yeah, it's just great for coverage.
Here's an Inquisition.
They look like Magic cards, and they're very easy to read.
Mindful Crocia, Groundswell, Apostle's Blessing, and Become Immense in Ross's hand.
The art's very clear.
Yep.
You know, it's just a black slate with some blue squiggly lines over on the right.
I know exactly what's going on.
Right. We're just going to leave this one up on the screen here.
Yes.
Usually we cut in a card. We expect the reader to read it. We hide it. Keep this one up.
Difficult decision with the discard spell here for Majors. A lot of good cards in Tom's hand. Can't take Become Immense, but he can take the Might of Old Crocia, the Groundswell, or the Apostle's Blessing.
Yeah, the problem is if his removal spell that he has access to is Lightning Bolt, all of these cards are problematic.
Well, most of the removal spells from Grixis are damage-based.
A couple Terminates or some such floating around, but...
There goes a Groundswell. Might of Old Crocia.
You gotta be kidding me with the second Comic-Con promo here.
It has 4. I looked at his deck yesterday. He just ratcheted it up. I'm telling you. Just splurged.
And the thing is, if he doesn't want to play into the Apostle's Blessing with these Jaces, he just has the option of plussing Jace. He doesn't have to flashback a removal spell, which is really nice. I suppose at that point, Tom could attack with the Noble Hierarch instead of the Dryad Arbor, but that's a much slower clock here.
Here comes Dryad Arbor. 3/3 yet again. With Become Immense, it becomes a 9/9, so it's not lethal, but if Tom drew a really good card, it would be. Yep, here's Become Immense. Major is saying, you know what? I go to 2. Don't think he blocked, yeah. Tom wouldn't have fired off the Become Immense if he did, so down to 2 goes Michael. And Tom's got this Apostle's Blessing in hand.
And what I like about Tom's play there is that that's his best window to resolve Become Immense. Now, even if Michael does have removal spells, Tom has 2 exalted creatures in play. So every threat is potentially representing lethal. If he tries to sit on the Become Immense, then all of a sudden, you know, Michael has a removal spell inside of combat. Maybe he produces a blocker next turn that Tom can't really attack through, and he may not get another opportunity to stick that for 2 points of damage.
And Jace is taken up. You have to imagine targeting the Dryad Arbor, giving it -2/-0. The other Jace is at the ready.
And with a second copy of Apostle's Blessing, that Tom has just drawn, you might see him just go for, all right, give a protection from blue to attack through the Jace, and hope that Michael is only on one removal spell.
Yeah. Here comes Noble Hierarch. The second Apostle's Blessing is pretty good here. And this is a lethal attack.
I suppose if Michael is compelled to block, he's losing the Jace regardless, because he can't block and then flip, because then he has two Jaces in play and one's gone anyway.
Yeah. Here's Snapcaster Mage. This is before Tom gets to attack. And it's targeting Lightning Bolt. And I like this play a lot.
But now Tom might have him trapped with the Apostle's Blessing here. He sets one to blue, and there's no blocking to be done. He fizzles the Lightning Bolt with the other one.
Depends on what Michael's last card is, I suppose.
I mean, are you really playing around the last card being Lightning Bolt here?
We'll find out soon enough. Because one thing to know is this is before Tom even gets to attack, so there are no Exalted triggers or anything just yet. There's Apostle's Blessing. Oh, well, we know the last card, Spell Snare. Yeah, so this is great. Because now Tom casts this. But he can't lethal him.
No, he can set this to red, and it forces a chump block.
But this is a great sequence for Michael, because now there's the chump block. Tom's out of cards, and Michael has this active. He's got an active Jace, which can flash back a spell. Other Jace can flip, flash back another spell. I mean, he can really go wild on this turn. And it also depends on what he draws too. And it's a copy of Thought Scour, so he'll target himself. There goes a Thought Scour. There goes a Jace. Draw a card. This could be a big turn here for Majors.
It is a little awkward because, you know, he has to decide he can either plus the pre-existing Jace and kind of hang back with the other one, or he can flash back and then plan on looting with the second one and flipping that one over. It looks like he's taking the second line.
He's going to flash back a Serum Visions. He's already drawn a card. He's looking at a Terminate with a Scry. Looks like he's going to leave both cards on top. Don't have a great look at what Majors is working with in his hand, but he's going to activate this Jace, discard Pluto Delta, flip into the Telepath Unbound again, starts on 5. There's Tasigur on the cheap.
Really important for Michael to have that, because again, the plussing on Jace is not very helpful right now, as Tom can simply attack with whatever doesn't get plussed.
Yeah, he just felt when he was untapping with one Jace flipped and another Jace unflipped, he could have a really big turn here. That's what he's doing.
Yeah, the problem is, this is a great turn for Michael, no doubt about it. It's just very hard for him to pick apart Tom with removal in this spot because so many of the threats are exalted.
He's moving up that Jace to 6. It's either Noble Hierarch or Dryad Arbor. Or also draw. And you target a Dryad Arbor with that Jace.
The thing is now, a pump spell is fine because Tom can simply attack with 2 Noble Hierarchs. Yeah. Something goes unblocked and he can try to go for the kill.
Heck, even a Dryad Arbor too. Depending on which pump spell it is.
Right.
Yeah, because if it's Vines or something like that. Another Noble Hierarch. All you can do is pass the turn back. Major's untapping. Active Tasigur. Terminate was the draw. But as you mentioned, spot removal not really at its best right now.
Well,
it's okay.
Terminate's very good here because it insulates Michael from the scenario where Tom draws a pump spell and tries to go wide around Tasigur. Now he's got that covered.
Didn't think we'd seen Major's actual life total have this happen. Here's Thought Scour. Snapcaster Mage, Kolagon's Command. Those will get milled over. Thought Scour Exile.
And Jace has been putting on a clinic here.
Oh, jeez. Look at this frisky attack.
This is definitely an aggressive attack here from Michael. The issue here is now, unless he has another blocker to play, he's just forced to use Terminate. Instead of before where he could hang back with Tasigur and force Tom to make the move, now he just has to make the move.
Well, you got to try to win.
That's true. The problem is that Tom can chump block for a long time here and still threaten lethal on the way back.
Tom's going to come with Dryad Arbor. 3 Exalted triggers. There's Terminate. There's Inkmoth Nexus. Okay. Hey, we're going the other way now.
Because it's not like Michael can simply, all right, I'll minus Jace, I'll flashback, terminate something. Because again, any threat that Tom connects with is going to be lethal.
Well, Major's quite a few cards in hand now as he's starting to stabilize and turn the corner. And Jace Telepath Unbound on 3 counters. Tasker on the battlefield as well.
It's a very tenuous stabilization, though.
He's trying to stabilize and win the game at the same time. Just hang on and get it over with, as it feels like what he's trying to do. There's an island.
This is a spot where you're really seeing the difference between Jace and Snapcaster Mage, even though they're both very good removal spells. Having to play it kind of at sorcery speed is a lot worse for Michael in this spot than just being able to cast stuff.
He's going K command. Yeah, this card's no joke. It's going to kill a Noble Hierarch and bring back a Snapcaster Mage. Jeez.
So he has Snapcaster on Bolt available to him.
Mm-hmm.
And if he survives out of this turn, then he has access to Snapcaster on Terminate, which is even better.
I believe Blighted Agent may have been the draw. Doesn't appear as though Tom has a good attack now. Because oddly enough, he's dealt no infect damage. He just tried to go regular this game. Well, there's a Spell Snare that's rather timely to take care of that Blighted Agent. 3 infect damage is dealt, but Michael can just say, I'll take some of this infect damage because you're not threatening anything yet. I've got infect damage to work with.
Yeah, and especially with him sitting on now the Snapcaster Mage alongside removal spells. Tom makes a move here, and Michael's got it covered.
Here comes Tasker.
Really impressive game here for Jace, though. I mean, Michael's needed every piece of removal he could get his hands on.
Jace has looked great. And how about another one? Just talking with Majors about the card this weekend. He's won in weird ways. He's played against some strange control decks where he actually went to the ultimate with the Telepath Unbound and milled his opponent out. It just generates such an enormous advantage.
I mentioned this before. To be willing to put this card in your deck is a big cost for Grixis Control because you are really good naturally against cards like Lightning Bolt, Kolagon's Command, Abrupt Decay, and so forth. So you have to think that this card is worth a lot in the games where it goes unchecked to be worth the cost you incur against spot removal spells. And this game is a demonstration that clearly there are times where it is well worth it.
Yes. Here's an Inquisition of Kozilek. Majors wants to know what's going on over there in Ross's hand. Tom wants to show him. Mutagenic Growth is the card. It's going to target a Noble Hierarch right now. And now it's a Serum Visions. Some Majors will draw. Now I'll scry 2. Yeah, the thing too here about Jace, as good as this card is, one thing people maybe forget is it's very good in the mirror too.
Yeah.
It's a card that demands an answer.
Again, it's going to be trading with Lightning Bolts and Kolaghan's commands that are normally not good against you. So there's spots where it's not going to be good, but if it doesn't get killed, it's awesome.
Yeah. Because realistically, Jace can flip the turn efforts cast.
Right. Your opponent has to kill it right on the spot or they're not going to get to.
Five to 2 in favor of Tom Ross. But it certainly doesn't feel like this game is favorable for him. Tasker has not even needed to be activated yet this game.
Yeah, Michael's graveyard is filled with enough cantrips and so forth that not a very good use of mana.
Looks like Nepal Nexus is going to be activated. It's going to jump in front of Tasker. Rachel's passed the turn back. There's the Serum Visions. That'll resolve. Ross will draw a card. He'll scry 2. Glistener Elf among the cards he's looking at. The difficult part here is I'm just not sure how Tom gets back into this.
I mean, he needs to have, an Apostle's Blessing to get around a blocker after Michael messes up using a removal spell. We're in that kind of spot.
Yeah, the thing is Michael's going to get a little more aggressive now. He's going to cast Terminate, take care of a Noble Hierarch. He wants to try to get this game over with.
Well, he can animate the Creeping Tar Pit now.
Yep.
And I don't think there's a way for Tom to block.
Jace is going to be activated. Yep, and Tom Ross is going to continue the game. So Michael Majors with a heck of a comeback. Wins game number 1 here over Tom Ross. Grixis Control up a game over Infect.
And Jace just doing so much work.
A lot of work that game, I tell you what.
Flashback, quite a few removal spells. The plus power was relevant on a couple turns. Very, very good stuff.
We take a look at the sideboard. We will start with Tom Ross. See what he has against Grixis Control.
A copy of Necropede, 3 Nature's Claims, 3 Twisted Image, a Relic of Progenitus, a Spellskite, a Piracy Charm, a Dismember, a Viridian Corruptor, 2 copies of Dispel, and a Carrion Call. I like the Dispels in this matchup. I think Dismember can come in, an additional copy of Spellskite, Relic of Progenitus to attack Michael's graveyard. And because of Jace, it's possible we'll see Twisted Image coming in this matchup as well.
Interesting. Twisted Image
Not
in this matchup.
Not a card that's typically good against Grixis Control, and it's still something that Tom may not bring in because it's so narrow, but it's definitely good against Jace.
No, I can actually see it being good. I see what, because Jace is very good in this matchup.
Yeah.
So I can see that being a thing. On major side, 2 Pyroclast and 2 Spellskite, 2 Dragon's Claw, a Thoughtseize, 3 Dispel, 2 non-spellbound, 3 Molten Rains.
Great sideboard for this matchup. 3 copies of Dispel, the Thoughtseize, the 2 copies of Pyroclasm, and the 2 copies of Spellskite, all very, very good.
Well, those are the options there for both players. And game number 2 going to be underway. Major's up a game right now, so Ross will be on the play for game number 2. We will very quickly take a look at the Season 4 schedule here in the Open Series. We, of course, have our Season 3 Invitational next weekend in New Jersey. But once Season 4 is underway, we're starting with Modern Action in Cincinnati.
Yeah, right away in September, we go to Cincinnati, then Worcester, Milwaukee, Indianapolis at the beginning of October. After that, we head to Atlanta. After Atlanta, we go to St. Louis for a Legacy Open Series event, Modern in Dallas, back in Philadelphia for a Standard Open. After Philly, we have a Seal Grand Prix in Atlanta. More event information about that event as we get a little bit closer. A Standard Open in KC, Legacy in New Jersey, a Standard Open Series event in Denver, then the Season 4 Invitational, Standard and Modern as the Invitational formats with a 2-day $20,000 Standard Open Series event, Las Vegas, Nevada, December 11th through the 13th, and then a week later, the Players Championship in Roanoke, Virginia at the Star City Games headquarters, December 19th and 20th to close out the year.
And if you haven't seen the Season 4 playmat, you're about to right now. It is the Hop-In Rabbit Master, a play on Goblin Rabble Master. Bunny Beatdowns. And if you take a look at the artwork, you'll find there's like a carrot bomb.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff going on here.
There's a lot of stuff going on in this playmat. So if you play in any main event, on the Open Series during Season 4. It's available until December 5th. Most importantly, it's free. Just come sign up, play in the main event. You'll get one of these things.
Not limited to the first couple of people who register. We don't mail to you after the fact. You get it for free on site. And there's that F word again.
Hey, hey, hey. This is a family-friendly show.
Furry.
Free. Furry. Furry. Another F word. Very
Fuzzy.
nice. Very nice.
Many of
You're
them.
just going off right now. You are going off. I love it. Tom Ross currently down a game and getting ready here for game number 2 with his Infect deck. So I wonder, do we think this is a good matchup for Infect?
I think it's fine. I mean, it's good that Michael has, lightning bolts and terminates and so forth. The counter spells are really rough in the matchup. Very hard to use them productively. I mean, that game Michael had, he had to Serum Visions into a bolt at a critical spot there. Otherwise, he might have just gotten killed. He opened up with Inquisition, got a Jace to flip, had a lot of removal spells to work with. Tom had to go manual because he ran out of Infect creatures.
Yep.
And the game was still pretty close.
Yeah.
I mean, that was Tom's game. It felt like Tom could have gotten that game at several points there. So I think the matchup is solid for, in fact, clearly the best cards in the Grixis deck do a lot to influence the matchup. The cheap removal spell specifically, and Chase is a nice inclusion as well. But I think Tom's got a lot of game in the matchup. I think it gets a lot harder post-board because Michael gets to get rid of some of the inefficient counters, go to dispels, more discard spells, and that makes life a lot harder on Tom.
And in a way, it feels like Tom needs to get game 1, but there's no guarantee. I mean, this is a deck that can kill as early as turn 3.
Mm-hmm.
So, Infect is capable of anything, especially in this gentleman's hands. So we'll see how things do break down, how he sideboards. He's got some nice options in his sideboard.
And one of the best cards in the matchup here for Michael, at least stereotypically, is Spellskite. And if Tom's already going to be bringing in Twisted Image because he's seen Jace, then that card gets a lot worse. It happens a lot with Infect players where they kind of bring in Twisted Image in the dark against any opponent who could reasonably have Spellskite.
Which is most people.
And if you see any 0 power creatures naturally in the deck, you see Noble Hierarchs, let's say, or whatever the case may be, then you definitely bring it in.
Yep.
And so Michael's best sideboard card in the matchup and one of his best main deck cards in Jace may get a lot worse for him in the post-board games.
Yeah, I foresee Tom bringing in some number of these. Him and Michael also know each other pretty well, part of the Roanoke crew, as it were. So I wouldn't be surprised if Tom's got an idea of what Michael's working with and vice versa, and saying, you know what, I know you're going to leave Jason because there's no way you're boarding it out, and you've got Skites. So that'll give me 6 targets for my Twisted Images. I don't know if he needs them all, but it seems like it's got some targets here.
Yeah. I mean, the worst cards in Michael's deck for the matchup, it feels like Remand is really poor. It feels like he has 2 copies of Liliana the Veil. He's actually on 0 Cryptic Commands and 2 Lilianas in the main deck, and the mana reflects that. Those cards do not seem very powerful. But he does have, I would say, 8 cards to bring in. The 2 Pyroclasms, the 2 Spellskites, the Thoughtseize, and 3 copies of Dispel. Interesting to see how he makes room for all of it. I really don't think you can cut Jace.
I think it's way too good to cut.
Maybe Spell Snare, even though it was good in that game because he needed to counter Apostle's Blessing.
Yeah, Snare's got a pretty decent amount of targets,
yeah,
too.
I don't exactly know where he's going to find the room. I think the Remands are easy to cut, as are the Lilianas, but that's only 5 cards.
Chop those Serum Visions. Ugh. I mean, you can't actually cut those, but
your mana base is built with those in mind, and at that point, you're basically signing out lands.
Yeah. Tassiger could go.
Tassiger is not great, but you don't want to be sitting there forever.
Yeah, you do want to be able to win the game.
Yep.
Firing up tar pits is not particularly realistic. Tom, I'm going to take a look at 6 cards here in just a moment. Looks like he's found 6 perhaps that he's happy with. Yep. Pendelhaven, Noble Hierarch, underway here in game number 2. Majors with an island. It's a Serum Visions. Time to scry. Russell draw. There's a basic forest. Oh yes, in for one. Majors. Well, the Black Cleave Cliffs. And now a lightning bolt on the upkeep. It's good sequencing here from Michael.
Yeah, he's willing to risk Tom pumping in the spot because he doesn't care that much about taking regular damage, and he's trying to get Tom to use his mana inefficiently. Contrast that with the lightning bolt in game 1, where Michael clearly prioritized save myself as much infect damage as possible and cast a lightning bolt on his own turn.
All right, Vine to the Vastwood. Not even kicked. Just a normal one. Oof, Dispel. Dispel back, boy.
And these kind of trades
These
really favor Michael. Yep.
So heavily.
You can wear Tom out of tricks. Michael can win the game with anything.
Yeah.
To say nothing of the fact that Tom doesn't even have an infect creature.
Those kind of exchanges are a disaster for Tom. There's a Water Grave on tap.
And now you might even see something like Kolaghan's Command, shock that, make you discard.
Yep. I think that's exactly what we're seeing. 2 for 1, you into the ground.
Whatever trick you have, Michael does not care.
Yep.
Just where are you out of resources?
And even if Tom says, okay, I'll pump my guy to save it, okay, well, you still have to discard your last card.
Exactly. If this just turns into Mind Rot, that's fine for Michael.
Yep, there goes Become Immense in the Hierarch. Tom well, there's no guarantee he searches up Dried Arbor here.
Yeah, I think at this point he needs to get blue mana. Michael was at 17. We're pretty far away from manual mode. All right, well, never mind.
Take that.
I guess that's just where we're going.
Got to get started somewhere. Russell draw. Tom might have the Carrying Call in his hand. He's going to sacrifice that Misty Rainforest right away. I imagine Breeding Pool on the way. Or Island, either one, but yeah, Breeding Pool's fine. This is definitely one of those matchups where Tom wishes he had Wild Defiance.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Carrying Call. Michael, want to take a little look-ski-poo? Don't know that one, buddy? Huh? Hold on. If we don't have the green insect tokens with Infect...
So who's fired?
Someone's fired.
I want to know.
Yep. Who's losing their job?
I guess we'll never find out.
Well, Pyroclasm just took
Lane
care of that.
and the Arbor.
Thought Scour. Someone's job is saved. So lucky.
Yeah.
Tom is out of resources. Michael is very far ahead.
That was almost a great moment for Carrying Call.
I agree.
Slogging through a sea of removal, giving Tom some hope, and what was shaping up to be a hopeless game, but Pyroclasm really rough in that spot.
A touch. Difficult to beat. Really now, Michael just got to find a win condition. He can really kind of win at his leisure because Tom has to rebuild everything. It's going to be a very hard card to come back from. Scalding Tarn going to be sacrificed here for Majors. There's a basic mountain. Michael Sermon got off to a little bit of a rough start. I believe 2-1-1 at one point, but decided he doesn't want to lose anymore. And, of the Grixis Control builds that I've seen this weekend, I've really liked his the most.
His is a lot more proactive.
Yeah.
And, he's got 4 copies of Jace, he's got 2 Lilianas, no copies of Cryptic Command.
And one thing you'll find is he fires another Tar Pit, going to get in for 3 points of damage. No Gurmag Egglers.
Nope.
No Delver of Secrets.
Yeah, just Tassiger.
Yep. 4 Snapcasters, 4 Jaces, 2 Taskers. It is a control deck, but he is a little bit more proactive. Here's a Gataxian Probe. See Major's hand. Those are super beatable cards.
Yeah, not a good sign here for Tom.
2 Terminates and a Lightning Bolt.
Pretty good against Tom's hand of pump spells.
Anybody's game.
I'm gonna throw this out there. You show up here with the Comic-Con Jaces. You got foil Tarns. You know, whatever.
You're going to the Terminates, aren't you?
Mismatch art of the
Yeah,
Terminates.
I had a feel. You're going right to the Terminates.
It's just
Just have a little respect for the game.
have some respect for the game.
That's all. We like Michael well enough.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's more about respect than anything.
Right. Michael is great, but mismatch terminates. You know, at that point, you might as well just have mismatched basic lands and whatever. Just, you can't be all up on the Comic-Con promos and then be doing that.
Lightning Bolt is going upstairs. Tar Pit ya. Put you to 1. Bolt you for fun. It's over. Michael Major's going to win this match over Tom Ross. 2-0. Grixis Control going to take care of Infect. Pretty simple stuff here for Majors. He's on one heck of a winning streak. He is 10-1-1 here in Charlotte.
And Tom Mulligan there in game 2 when you really felt it.
Yes.
Michael kind of just wore him out. A lot of removal spells, some 2-for-1s, and you know, once Infect gets into that spot where they don't have an Infect creature in play, most of their draw steps are pretty bad, and it really magnifies all the early card advantage that Michael accrued. It felt like Michael could win the game kind of arbitrarily after the Kolaghan's command early on in the game.
You know, for Tom, we've watched him twice on camera now.